Cheese making predates recorded history, and we love it. It's impossible for us to travel and not taste local cheese. Steph met the big cheese, Chef Kevin from Cheesewerks, and we leapt at the chance to geek out with him about cheese and travel.
Hi everybody, today we're at Cheesewerks, geeking out about cheese with Canada's big cheese, Chef Kevin Durkee. First off, Kevin's going to show us how to taste cheese when you're on a cheese holiday, or if you're going to be tasting lots of cheese. You need to know the right way to taste it. Chef Kevin's an expert. He's going to show us how to do it.
Good morning, thanks for joining us today. So I've got 3 different styles of cheeses here for us, all 100% Canadian cow's milk, and of course all Canadian. They get the first big beautiful one here, which is La Station. It's called Alfred, and it's a raw milk cheese from Quebec. Then next up, we brought something from Prince Edward Island. This is Cow's Creamery. This is their Avonlea Cocktail cheddar. And then I've got some fresh, beautiful bocconcini. So when you're trying cheeses, you really want to savor the saltiness and the sweetness and really make that sort of sing in your mouth. So the best thing to do is to grab yourself a little piece. You're going to try along with me, I think, here. And treat it like you're working on a butterscotch or sort of a candy. Don't use your teeth, because your teeth don't have taste buds, and if you end up spending so much time chewing your cheese, it'll be down your throat before you have a chance to appreciate it. So tuck it to the roof of your mouth and let it melt, and it will, all the sweetness and the saltiness will come out. What do you think of that? What flavors are you getting?
Salty, nutty, a slight tang.
That's coming from the raw milk as well. This has been aged over 60 days. You can eat that all day. So delicious. Next one up is a little sharper, a little bit more focused. This is an Avonlea Cocktail cheddar. You can try that as well. Give it a little smell as well. And then pop that in. A little saltier, a little cleaner, a little brighter in flavor, but delicious.
Very bold.
And then finally, we're going to give you a little bit of fresh bocconcini. There you go. Now you can play with your food on this one a little bit. We can kind of rip it apart. You can see sort of how the little bocconcinis have been made. You can almost turn them inside out with all the beautiful fresh strands of fresh mozzarella that have been tucked in here. And you're going to notice this one's a lot smoother and a lot creamier as well. And not nearly as pungent as the other two, because it's such a fresh cheese. This is fantastic for nibbling like this with some spices and a few things, but also it's great to cook with.
Now we've discovered some of the interesting cheeses here, but perhaps you can tell us some more about the kinds of cheeses that people ought to try when they're visiting this region of Toronto, Ontario.
Well, what's so amazing with Ontario and Canada in general is that we have a great source of farmers and animals that are really producing incredible product. And across the country, there's really great regions along the way. This particular ricotta is from Ontario. It's just on the outside of Toronto here in Vaughan, and it's made by Quality Cheese, and they do some fantastic fresh cheeses. But really across Ontario, you can find some beautiful blues. Out in the eastern part, Glengarry has a beautiful blue called Celtic, and then you move into Niagara and the wine country. There's another beautiful firm called Upper Canada Cheese, and they make some beautiful product as well. And they use 100% Guernsey cow's milk, so they really sort of add some quality and some character to it as well. So no matter which area of the city you're in or what part of the province you're in, you can always find local beautiful cheeses ready to go.
That's amazing. Now, when people are visiting here in Toronto, are there specific places or locations we like to geek out about cheese? Where are the places that we should visit and maybe find some of these amazing cheeses?
Well, you can always come to Cheesewerks, Canada's only restaurant dedicated to cheese in downtown Toronto. But we're thrilled about the type of product that we serve here at the restaurant. And you're right, a lot of it comes from right in our backyard. One in particular is the Quality Cheese that I'm referencing here with the bocconcini. This is just up in Vaughan, and 2 years ago, the Quality Cheese makers actually won the Grand Prix of Cheese for Canada, and they won it for their ricotta. It was the first time in 75 years a fresh cheese that actually had been created that was the grand champion. Often, cheese snobs get all kind of fussed up. It's got to be big, it's got to be stuck in a cave, it's got to be, managed for years and years before you're allowed to eat it. The beautiful ricotta is less than 24 hours old, and it's absolutely magic. They've got a lovely retail store, so you can pop up there and check it out. So if you're headed to Canada's Wonderland, you can get some good cheese on the way. Also here in the city, in the West End, we have Cheese Boutique, which is probably Canada's premier cheese store and shop, and the Eflin brothers are doing incredible work over there. Hundreds and hundreds of different cheeses, both Canadian and local and international, so you can get a delicious effort. But other than that, it's really about discovering some of the farmers markets that happen here in the city, scattered across all kinds of great neighborhoods, and those will bring in really great producers. So you might see something on one weekend that you've never tried, come back the next weekend, it might be somebody different.
The menu here at Cheesewerks is inspired by many of Kevin's travels. So Kevin, do you have recommendations on tips for things that people should do when they're traveling, in terms of traveling with cheese or planning a cheese-centric holiday?
Well, cheese is a really beautiful blank canvas. So if you love cheese, then no matter where you're traveling in the world, whether it's just 20 kilometers down the road or 3,000 kilometers around the world, you'll always find something that's really local and delicious. So I would poke around. Farmers markets is a great way to learn a little bit about what's happening. But do a little homework ahead of time. You know, search a couple of really great cheese stores, give them a call, see what they might recommend. So many of the dairies and the cheese producers now, no matter where you're traveling in the world, have a little bit of a retail and sort of experience for you. So, you know, take that little road trip, take that extra little turn, maybe find a beautiful little place that's making something and try it yourself. Otherwise, I would really sort of go to a market or a main city market and find where the best cheeses are coming from and try a few different things. About transporting them, make sure that you got a little cooler or a little refrigerated bag somewhere. So if you do bump into something that's really delicious, you're not going to want it to spoil. Hang on to it and turn it into either a picnic. Most cheeses can travel if they're firm and hard, like this guy here with a cloth-bound cheddar. There's no problem in wrapping that nice and tightly and tucking it into your suitcase and bringing it home. Something that's a little fresher or made with whey is not, first of all, it's going to be too delicious for you to make it all the way home. But second, the liquid is just not going to sort of travel that well. So enjoy it in the moment where you are.
And I guess, is it important to do some research if you're traveling across borders, just in terms of regulations about traveling?
Yeah, the regulations have changed from country to country, region to region, so do a little homework ahead of time. But essentially, if you're looking at a couple of kilos of cheese, firm better than fresh. Fresh cheeses, because they're wet and they will have liquid, tend to be a little bit of a no-no crossing borders, and certainly not that fun to travel on a plane. But anything that's kind of firm and aged and sort of hard style cheese, whether it's a cheddar or Asiago or a Parm, something like that, those will be totally fine, as long as you're not bringing hundreds of wheels back. And if you do and you get them through, send them to me, I'm happy to help out. But otherwise, bring a little nugget home for yourself and your friends and family as well.
Now I have to ask Kevin, what is your favorite cheese destination?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I was born and raised in the eastern part of Quebec, and I'm sort of a sucker for the beautiful cheeses in that area, and Alfred, in fact, actually is quite close to where I grew up, and this is one of my favorites. I also love the Blue Benedictine that is made in Saint-Benoît-de-Lac in that same area. So I'm a little partial to
Quebec?
Yeah, partial to Quebec cheeses, but really in that sort of smaller area. And it's closer to the Vermont border, and you'll find some of the same cheese styles have sort of transferred over the border between the beautiful artisanal cheeses in Vermont and that sort of eastern part of Quebec. Those would tend to be mine. But I gotta say, this Avonlea cloth-bound cheddar, PEI, I'm a sucker for that too.
Well, thanks very much, Kevin.